All right, this won't be very long, but we kind of got cut off. I was talking about the second normal form, and basically it's taking past, okay, here's the first normal form, meaning I've converted one table so it doesn't repeat. The second normal form is, oh, I've repeated two tables so it doesn't repeat. That means I've taken out, here's my order, here's my item, here's my order line, so my descriptions don't repeat. In this movement to second normal form, or second normal TNF, or second normal form, we can create 3 new tables that prevent overlap of data, especially in reference to description. Notice in the top table, descriptions can duplicate. Now if we break it up the table, let me actually get this down to a readable level here. We have one description for ease of updating as well as pulling information. The orders table simply has the order number with the description as details in the order line. Now, your particular answers can change. What's more important, or can be different, what's more important is that you justify your answers. And once again, I wanted to add this on the last video, but it stopped a little bit early. And then the third normal form is actually taking the customer table. In this particular case, it has customer number, customer name, balance, credit line, and it's assuming that the customer name will be associated with customer number. So you now have well, in this particular case, you have our customer information, but notice the rep number, first name, last name. So I actually have a rep table. So the overall idea is to break these things up in such a way where the data is not duplicated and it does not repeat. So if I was going to update the representatives, I would make sure that I could come along and put in last name and first name of these particular representatives. In third normal form, we are eliminating the redundancy of the representative info to prevent updating and duplicating errors by creating a representative table. So I take these and I apply them to the Colonial database. So this is where I create a trip guides that has trip ID, guide number, and trip name. Then I would convert, this is in first normal form but not second normal form, and I'm making the assumption that my guides have, or my trip IDs have a actual trip name, and since I can have multiple things with the same trip ID, I break it up to trip and trip guide, meaning that I no longer have the trip name duplicated. Now I have simply the trip ID and the guide number. Then I can convert it from second normal form but not third normal form, is I have a reservation where I have a reservation ID, trip ID, owner number, last name, and first name, meaning you're only going to have one particular reservation, and my last name and first name will probably not repeat. And so then I have my conversion to third normal form, which breaks out this to owner and reservation. So each one of them are establishing, hey, this is in first normal form, but I'm going to put it in second normal form, meaning I'm going to assume that my trip IDs and trip names repeat, so I want to break them up. So here's my trip ID and trip name, and trip ID and guide numbers. So it's breaking those up. And then from here, I have my reservation ID, which is probably a number, my trip ID, which is probably a number, my owner number, which is also a number, my last name and first name. But in this particular case, I'm probably having a last name and first name repeat according to owner number, the owner of the trip, I guess. So if we convert to third normal form, that's having an owner table that has an owner number, last name, first name, and a reservation ID with the trip ID and owner number. Using each step, we examine the database as presented and work to create a new table which eliminates redundancy. In my example, I create trip guides table that only contains a trip ID, guide number, and trip name. This allows both trip ID and guide number to be linked. The issue with the first normal form is the fact that trip name will be repeated if multiple trips are taken in the same location. In response, when we create a trip table that moves from trip ID to corresponding to the trip name, so there's only one instance of the trip name or moving to a second normal form. Moving from second normal form to third normal form is the creation of the owner table that prevents repeating the first name and last name in each of the tables. Not only does the above answer the question, it also justify the responses so we can see your justification as to why. And you could have probably done this in any order. You could have had this here as your first normal form and then converted it to this, and then your second normal form, which could have been this right here, to move to your third normal form could have been here to here. I mean, there's no set order, what I can see, in reference to what those are. It's just a matter of I'm going to take this table that has duplicates, and I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to take this table that has duplicates, and I'm going to break it up so it doesn't. Then I'm going to take this table, and I'm going to have duplicates, and I'm going to break it up so it doesn't. So ideally, this table, this set of tables right here, could have been my first normal form if I wanted. This right here could have been my second normal form, and this right here could have been my third normal form. I think it just represents the order in which you break it up. So here's a breakup of this for number 1 in your colonial database. Now I hope that gives you a good start for, okay, this is what I need, and this is the idea of the justification, so you begin to structure your questions and your answers in such a way so it's not just, which seems to be the normal fashion on the first run assignments. I'm just going to shoot from the hip, do the best I can, and see what happens. I'm hoping to give you a little bit more guidance, and of course we can also talk more about this on the first session, collaborate session, where we can get together and give a little bit more detail of how the class works and things along those lines. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any further questions, feel free to either email them to me during my office hours to get a better response, or put them in the questions forum so I can address those appropriately. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.